The cameras are rolling, Neil. Good morning. Let's do a show.
Yeah, good morning, Matt. Cameras are rolling this end too, so that's good. We should get into this, right?
Yeah, let's do it.
Roll the intro. Let's go.
1, 2, 3, 4.
I'm Neil.
And I'm Matt, and we are the Invention Junkies.
We lost our jobs at a high-tech startup to 3 months to start a successful design business on our own.
Listen in to follow our story, relive our failures, and join us on this race against the clock. So, do you want to start us off this week? What have we been up to?
Oh, we've done a lot, which we always say, but we have. When you think back to what we did on Monday and today's Friday, we was discussing yesterday that, geez, this was only like 4 days ago. We've done so much since then. It feels like we've been on this problem for a long time. But I think that what we've been doing mostly is a lot of testing. And that's not just for our product development, it's also for the business development and that side of things. And we kick the week off reassessing our social media strategy. It's quite hard, social media, we've found. And you half expect you're going to do this amazing post and it's really engaging and people are going to love it and it's going to go viral and it's going to get all the views, and you post it and then it gets like 6 views, no one likes it, and you're like, oh, well, that hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
But it's not about that. It's a lot more effort. So let's introduce our theme of the week.
Nice. I'm liking the refinement that's coming across with this introduction. I think you've really nailed it now.
I was thinking about when I do it spinning on my chair, just to sort of add a bit of flair, and you know when the image pops out doing a little spin. But I've got a mic wire and a headphone wire, so I think I'll just get tangled up. So when we go wireless, wow, get ready for that. There's going to be.
I don't think we've put the cash in the account for that yet.
So our theme of the week this week is all around testing, and not just product testing, but also business testing, social media testing what works for everything that we're doing.
Yeah.
I think it's easy to think that you just have a plan, you follow the plan, and then it works or doesn't work. And if it doesn't work, then you're a failure and, you know, it's a bad plan to start with. But actually, you should be testing and testing and testing and reassessing and testing and, you know, adjusting what you do.
And we are massive failures. We love it. Failure's part of the point, right?
That's it. And if you're not a failure, then there's some saying about if you've never failed, you've never tried, and success is just a series of failures. So we embrace that.
Yeah. So we started this week testing on our socials.
Yep.
And we kind of reviewed what we were doing, how much effort we were putting into it, and we are not marketing experts, but we are very quickly trying to learn to be the best that we can be. And it's a lot of effort. We have 1 million accounts and you have to do different types of posts on all the different accounts, and we're starting to streamline that. But I think recently we'd been trying to promote the podcast quite a lot, which meant taking segments from what we record on a Friday and then turning that into postable content. And so we've decided to shift that up a little bit. Do you want to just talk us through what the new direction is and why we've decided that?
Yeah, so well, let's roll it back a little bit and talk about how we sort of thought about it. So we are on the side also learning as much as we can on all different areas, and I'm doing a course on marketing where they mentioned about how you should understand who it is that you're actually targeting, not just people who are listening, but you know what types of people do you want to be listening and what's their interests, how might they get their news and social media, and what sort of things would they be looking for, so that you're finding the people that you want to find, that the right mindset. And we realized that we were putting out a lot of sort of podcast videos, and it was content, and it might have been, you know, we were going for the clips where we were laughing the most and those sorts of things. But actually, people might just see this as a comedy podcast, which it isn't, even though we do have fun. But it might be that we're trying to just attract people who just like something funny, but then they're like, oh, hang on a minute, these guys are talking about design and stuff. This is not, you know, it wasn't really
This is strictly serious now. This is not a comedy podcast, yes.
No more laughing. Apart from that bit. And then, so we said, okay, well, so we mapped out what sorts of content we think we should be doing differently. The other side to it as well is platforms like Instagram and Facebook treat reels, if something's uploaded as a reel, different to a post. It appears in a different part of the app. When you upload it, you have to say this is a reel or this is a post. And we had lots of reels, but we had no posts, so we weren't actually posting anything that would end up on so someone sort of scrolling through a news feed. There was nothing that would appear, so they would miss, the clips we was putting out. So that's basically Monday we discussed it in a bit more detail, and we decided that we should mix it up. We should do a mix of some of the funnier moments from the podcast where we've had fun.
Yeah.
Some of the more not serious moments, but more discussions on the topics which we think people are going to care about, as well as some posts which target the things that we care about, which are a mix of it all. And we realised just how much effort it is to actually schedule your posts. It's quite a lot to sort of think about. I'm going to post about this and then craft it. It's a lot of time. So this is why you have social media managers, right? It can be a full-time job. If you want to post something every day, it might take you 30 seconds to read it, but actually think about how much it's going to, what you're going to write about, how much value it's going to bring to someone, and putting that together. It's a lot of effort.
Yeah, I think just on the way we've scheduled our sort of social media week is around our core values, right? Like we picked what we know very well why we're doing this and what it means to us. And maybe sometimes the challenge in that is because there's so much that we know has gone into the core values of what we're trying to do. Communicating that can all just like come out at once and not make an awful lot of sense. And so we kind of said, right, Monday is going to be about our mission, and Tuesday is going to be when we release the podcast. And we went through day by day, what is the one message we want to get out there about us, and to encourage the right kinds of listeners and encourage the right kind of people engaging with us.
Yeah.
And so I think it's really nice to be able to go back to the root, because I think we did that a long time ago. We started this, we were like, what's the foundation going to be built on? And it's, it's sustainable products, it's designing the right way, it's making things that last. And if you say all of that at once, it's like, oh no, this thing's like not got a clear message. So I think it's really nice to kind of go back to the root and make sure that even what we're doing that doesn't seemingly like relate to it, social media doesn't have to, but we've now got this like really strong foundation, hopefully, and we'll keep improving it.
Yeah, we still got a lot of work to do as well. Like we noticed that we use all the tools, so we use ChatGPT and other AI programs. Are they programs? Tools, other AI tools, and we had a session where we sort of put a lot in about what sort of company we are and helping it to sort of craft things about us. And we said, if we were a person, what type of person would this be? And it come up with this really like pretentious kind of, I don't know how you describe the person it described. And we were like, this isn't us. This is like a real, So if that's what we're feeding AI and that's what it thinks about us, then obviously we've got more work to do to make sure that it's a well-rounded person, and that's who we are.
That's a really nice point on how we use AI to test things that we can't see ourselves. There's a term, the curse of knowledge, where once you know something, you can't unknow it. And we know all the reasons that we're doing this, but we don't know how that comes across to someone else. But if you start an open or a blank conversation with one of these AI tools and you say, right, this is what I'm telling people, and this is what it tells you back as a reflection, and you go, oh, I don't like that reflection, then you need to change something about the way that you're talking. So I think that was a really good experience. Yeah.
So on the testing front as well, we're doing this. We're going to have to adjust and then see what worked, what got the most engagement, what didn't, and plug it back in. We've had, with some of our videos, we've had some high numbers on some and really low numbers on others, which is quite surprising. There's quite a difference. So we just got to post more and more and test to see what people like to see what people react with. So we can do more of that and less of the other stuff, and then hopefully we get to the point where we're learning every week, every post we're learning, and then we're finding the people that we want to find.
I've started doing this thing where I look at the thumbnail, and you can see like the number of views or clicks or engagement, whatever, and I'll start like in my head scoring if the thumbnails of a caption from you versus a caption from me, and like who's doing better. And at the moment, I think you're winning. So I think we need more thumbnails of your face and fewer of mine.
Yeah, but I think that most of them are of mine, aren't they? So that's probably why it's not a fair test. We'll post an equal amount, and then we'll see. And then we'll have to change your hairstyle every time and see, whether you've recently, wet it and put it in shape, or whether it's just the morning mat that I normally see, which is just hair all out. I think we should do that next week. I reckon next week you should put zero effort into your appearance and see how that goes.
I mean, we know that very few of our listeners are watching this anyway. So.
On thumbnail as well, that's another thing we tested. Thumbnail for the podcast we put together pretty quickly, and it was just a screenshot from our first episode. And then we said, okay, well, we were getting quite a few people. What was it? I forget how Spotify.
It's the
impressions,
reach. So Spotify gives you the analytics, and it says people that it's reached, and then there's a really nice little graph of the conversion. So it's like a sales funnel or a pipeline where it starts. We've reached 100 people, and of those 100 people, 20 have listened. So your conversion is 20%, and then of those people that have listened, this number of people have come back, or it does 3 stages to it. And we thought, okay, well, there's obviously a massive dip in who's seeing it and who's listening, and why is that happening? Is it the title of the podcast? Is it the thumbnail? Is it the description? So we kind of like changed all of those a little bit, and then we'll come back in a week or two and see how that's performed, and if we need to change it in a different way. Yeah,
we had a little bit of theory. We can let everyone in on our inside secret. So we scrolled, we looked at other thumbnails for podcasts, and we found that if it was a well-known person doing a podcast, they put their face on it.
Yeah.
If it wasn't, then they didn't. And if it was someone who we didn't know and they put their face in it, we felt less likely to watch it. So we said, actually, people don't know who we are. We should probably focus more about what the mission is rather than who we are. So from now on, our faces aren't on the thumbnail. We've changed it. We're going to test it in a week and see how it performs. Yeah. And it's all part of the testing and challenging what we're doing, whether it's right or wrong, and hopefully we'll get it right.
So tune in next week to find out if our faces will make a return. So what else have we been testing this week?
Oh, let's get down to the good stuff. So we're also doing product development. So we've been testing our new ideas, and it's been a lot of fun, actually.
Yeah. I think the scary thing was what you said about, we had this conversation yesterday, and we started the week. We had a bit of this is where the spill of work-life balance is completely complicated. And on Friday, I think we were both working pretty late doing different things. And then that spilled into Saturday and Sunday. And so we knew we wanted to get this survey out, which had some of we'd narrowed our ideas down to 4 concepts. And we put these concepts into like idea groups so that we could rank the different features in those idea groups based on people that we'd been talking to about this problem with how you store clothes. And they gave us initial feedback on the different idea groups. And we could say, oh, people really like, I'm going to give an example, like the color. People really like the color blue, but they hate the color red. They keep rating the color red really low across all of these different idea groups, but they really like the color blue. So we think, as part of our product design specification, it should probably have some blue in it. And then we do that with all of these different features, and we get to this point on Monday where we're like, okay, we've got an idea what we think people like. However, we're not going to take it as, like gospel truth. The very narrow band of people that we've spoken to do not necessarily reflect everyone across the planet. So we're going to use some of our own intuition and research, and this difference between qualitative and quantitative analysis, and how you can extract insights and all of that good stuff. And we went, right, we think this is the idea that we need to pursue. So we started the week with 4 ideas, and it feels like we've been working on this one for like months now already, because it's just like you're completely immersed in it.
When you said it was only on the weekend we sent the survey out and then we reviewed it Monday, I thought, oh wow, that was just this week. I forgot that was only 4 days ago.
Exactly.
It seems like we've been working on this for weeks already.
Exactly. So we kicked off the week with the social media stuff, and then we did all this idea development. And one of my favorite things about the idea development is we're trying to apply the same like failure testing mindset across everything. So when we're remote, we'll share screen and we'll like look up some comparative products as part of our research. And we go, oh right, okay, this is whoever's method of how they solve this problem. And then we've got this lovely little tool where I can share screen and Neil can just like draw on my screen. And he's like, I like this bit, I don't like this bit, sketch, brilliant. And then we're just like, okay, what do we do with this? And we just like open Paint and then we'll just like sketch it out in Paint. It's like, okay, this is an idea. We need to put this somewhere. We'll write it up, move on. And it's that like, it's messy. We've not like drawn something really nicely and got a pen on paper. You know, I was talking about all my fancy pens and stuff. It's not about that. It's about just like getting to the root of the idea as quickly as possible. And I think you introduced me to this video about how you can test stuff quickly. And it's a bit about prototyping, so I don't want to jump the gun, but I don't know if you want to share that story now.
Yeah, if I can remember it properly, but it's about how to test with. It came from a guy who worked on the Google Glasses team. Google Glasses didn't end up being a product that they released, but it was a nice story, and we can put a link into the show notes as to so you can watch it for yourself. But in summary, it was how you might prototype Google Glasses to see how it works and what issues you might have. So you might think, oh, they'll spend maybe a week or two making these sort of, maybe it's 3D printed glasses or making them out of something that's got, you know, something that's in it. But they just, I think they gave themselves an hour, and it was it an hour?
I think it was a day at first, and the next one was, yeah. Okay,
so they gave themselves a day, and yeah, it was just very much bits of bendy wire, and they used a like a micro projector, something like that, and they they were sort of moving their hands around to see how they interacted and how it works with something projected on their screen, so they can just see, does that work, does it not work, and they were testing the Minority Report technology where you move things around with your hands, and does that work? And was that the same video?
That's the one. Got it. So it was a projector sheet, a wire attached to a mouse, and a clicker. Yeah. And when you move your hand, it moves the wire, which moves the mouse along the floor, which is obviously connected to the device that's running on the projector. So it was what we're trying to test. We're trying to test the interaction of waving my hand on a screen and it moving the mouse. Does this work?
Yeah. So it's like they mechanically rigged it up so that something, rather than like some 3D camera monitoring where the hand is, they're actually just tied a bit of cable to the hand, and that moves the mouse, which does it, and that's good enough, because that test does this motion. Is it worth developing any further? And they come up with all these issues that they hadn't thought about, and we've been doing exactly the same thing. Like with what we've been doing, it's surprising what you learn from making things out of cocktail sticks and bits of wire, bits of cut up paper straw, and just to see how things work. And we've learnt so much just from doing things at small scale and then up to larger scale.
There's every now and then you read a book from these success stories, and they've got this picture, and it's like, oh, this is us in the shed, and we're like soldering these PCBs while we inhale the fumes. Oh, ha ha ha! Look how we used to do things. And there was a few of those moments. On Wednesday, we did an in-person day. I came down to Neil, and we were doing this prototyping in person, which I'm really glad we did. I think there's so much value in doing that. And at one point, you'd got this, we're using foam board, hot glue, and toothpicks. And that was literally because those were the materials we had. We didn't want to buy anything. They're just stuff that we had lying around. And there's this moment where we were like folding up bits of paper to simulate clothes, and we were like, this isn't quite right. What can we use? What can we use? And Neil's about to run out to get like a bit of towel to cut it up, and I was like, wait, you've got kids. And so you ran off and you grabbed this bag of like Barbie clothes. And so my favorite moment, I think, from the day was when you're like throwing this like mini Barbie dress over the thing that you've made to like test that it works.
Yeah, that one's we've got some nice pictures actually. We should probably post those. Yeah, it was good. And then we scaled up, and lots more. It was a fun day. And we've got more to do. So now we're at full scale testing with, again, it's still sort of off the shelf materials, but we had things like we're using bits of PVC pipe which you use for running electrical circuits. It's cheap. I had loads spare. And we was talking yesterday about how could you join it? And I was looking at the joiners and the proper ones. Actually, Matt said, why not just get a bit of wood and drill a hole in it? and then just stick them in the. I was like, that's a brilliant idea. Let's just get blocks of wood and chop them up and drill holes, and then just ram them through. It's like you just need to be held in a position. It doesn't matter how nice the joint looks. You're testing what this material in this shape in this position, how it performs, and do you need to do anything different with it?
Yeah. Another of my favourite moments was when you were just hurling this jacket at me because we were testing something. Decided we'd film it, and it's just, you sent me the footage, and it's just like this thing just being like, you properly were throwing it as well, like full force.
Well, I think we can say it was testing how well you can throw clothes at this thing and it to catch them without you having to sort of do any folding or thing. So it was like, right, okay, let's test it at this shape. And it was just throw. And it's like, no, it's too light. We need something heavier. Right, coat. Throw the coat. Yeah. No, right. And then Matt's there with a tape measure measuring different distances and going, okay, now try, throw it. And so, yeah, lots went into it. It was fun. And we learnt a lot as well.
Yeah. This is the magic that you like, the Dyson 5000 prototypes, you know. Okay, let me move it a millimeter and then test it again. And then we move it a millimeter. And then you're testing like all of these different things. Okay, well, if we have this distance is bigger, then it's going to fall off easier. But if this distance is smaller, then it's going to, you know, and all of that kind of stuff, which is really fun.
Yeah, definitely. It's that time again, Matt. Can you spin on your chair? You look wireless there. Can you do it?
No, I've got my mic in. I can do it. Maybe it's time for... No.
Can you do like a blue steel, like look over your shoulder and then throw your head and do a theme of the week? No,
you're just trying to get me strung up for some sort of social media post. I know what you're getting.
That is not what I'm trying to do.
It's time for problem of the week.
Yes, I love it. Okay, so anyone listening, you're going to have to go and watch the video now because Actually, that reminds me, I've got a clip of you doing something similar.
Oh my God, I literally just thought of the same thing. You set me up. You always set me up with these things.
Yeah.
I had longer hair at the time, and I was shaking it out of my face, and you were filming some footage. This is where we used to work. And you were like, oh, do the like slow-mo hair shake. And I was like, yeah, absolutely, for the lols. And just like did it. And then you'd edited it with some music to really set the scene.
I'll see if I can find it. I might have it somewhere. That'd be a great social post. Yeah, all right.
Yeah, that would be great. Let's not do that.
Anyway, problem of the week.
So, what is our problem of the week?
Our problem of the week this week comes from us, and it's called planned obsolescence.
What does planned obsolescence mean, Neil?
Well, Matt, I'm glad you asked. You may not know this, but those big corporate greedy machines make products not last very long so that they break and you buy a new one, which seems ridiculous, but they do it, and we are slowly learning that that is the way that things are. If you roll back to, I don't know, 20, 30 years ago, or even before then, you hear the saying, things aren't built like they used to, and that's on purpose. It is completely on purpose. And an example is, a good one recently is mobile phones. It used to be that mobile phones lasted a year or two before they were not very useful, and then you got the next one with your phone upgrade contract, and it's sort of linked to that. And if you had it for longer than 2 to 3 years, it would just slowly grind to a halt, which you'd think was normal. Oh, the phone's old, it's broken. When actually, if you think about it, there's no moving parts in it, really. There might be your headphone jack or your charging port. If it's not got water damage, there's not much that can go wrong with it, apart from the battery will age and it might not hold its charge longer. But apart from that, electronics, if they're made well, don't just break. They can, in theory, can last forever. You know, most components on a circuit board, they don't wear out. There's no sort of brake pads or anything like that. So we're being taught that we should just buy a new one when something breaks, and repairability is becoming harder and harder. And we mentioned in one of our earlier episodes that we are not very fond of Apple. And that's because they are very good at doing this, making you buy the latest. I bet you if someone's had an Apple phone and they've had it for longer than a couple of years, there will become a point where you can't install this app because you don't have the latest software. And to get the latest software, you have to have the latest phone. Apple got taken to court a while ago for making people's phones less powerful. They slowed them down when they were older, and they said it was to help preserve the battery. Jury's out on whether that was the case. But they do things to make it harder and harder to repair. Even now, if you get two new iPhones and you take the screen off of one and the screen off the other and you switch them over and plug them in, they won't work because you have to have them paired. The screen has to be paired to the phone. That doesn't serve any purpose to the user. All that does is stop you fixing it yourself, so that when your screen breaks and you go to the Apple store and they say, oh, it's going to be, you know, £300 or dollars, whatever, to change your screen, or you can get a new phone for £400, or, you know, it's to upsell you. Whereas really, that's not how much it would cost you if you went to a repair shop. They're making it harder and harder to repair these things. So it's called planned obsolescence. It really gets my goat. I get really, really passionately angry about it.
So to show that we're not biased on this, I'm gonna actually explain one of the reasons that this happens, and then I'm gonna counter explain how that's still an example of corporate greed. So you could argue that, oh, okay, we're gonna optimize the carbon footprint of our device. We're gonna try and make it really light and use less materials so that we have less, let's say, aluminium that goes into making the shell of this phone. So we're going to make it really nice and thin, and we're going to optimize all of these manufacturing processes. We're going to make it really strong. And then what happens is, as a result of all of the materials that we've saved in this process, it's slightly more bendy than it was before, but we think the consumer's okay with that. And then they go in your back pocket and they start bending more and more and more and more until they're broken and you can't use them anymore. And so this thing that was actually a really good process, oh, I want to remove the amount of material that goes into it because of good intentions, means it breaks, and then you have to buy a new one. And the cost of buying a new one on the planet and the resources that go into it now double what you'd intended them to be, instead of saving the 10% that you wanted to take out of it. So I know that this is a really complex and multifaceted problem, and everyone isn't all trying to, you know, do the wrong thing, but we have a fantastic example, which is one of the earliest examples of where this comes from, and it's the humble light bulb. So in the 1920s, there was a light bulb cartel. I'm not making this up, you can look it up. It's called the Phoebus Cartel, and it was a group of the mass manufacturers of light bulbs, and they decided that incandescent bulbs lasted too long. They were not seeing enough profit. This revolutionary device literally giving people light, and they went, nah, that's not okay. We need to make more money from this. And so they started removing the amount of, I think it's the tungsten that goes in the incandescent bulb, and making them so that they would blow out quicker and not last the few thousand hours that they were going to last. And this got to the point that this was an international cartel shortening the lifespan of light bulbs artificially, right? So no benefit whatsoever to the product, no benefit to the consumer, just so that you would have to replace your light bulbs more often, which means you're spending more money with the light bulb manufacturers. So check it out if you don't believe me, the Phoebus Cartel, 1920s. And
this is a good example of how, people learnt that, oh, the light bulb's gone, it's broken, I need to buy a new one. They were taught this is the process for light bulbs. Because it was manufactured, it's not a repairable thing because there's gases in you just can't repair a light bulb. It was just, you learnt that light bulbs break, it's broken, need a new one. But that was taught to you by the manufacturers, and that makes me angry.
Yeah, I mean, imagine if you changed the context of that, and in the 1920s, someone decided, oh, I'm going to make a light bulb that's repairable. So when it blows, you just have to replace this thing, you screw it back together, and then you can use it. Imagine how that would have changed our relationship with light bulbs. Because even today, the problem with LEDs is the LEDs have all of these transformers and microcircuits that go in them, that go in the bin, and you've got this growing electronics waste problem. Yeah, still happening. I always try to challenge planned obsolescence and repair anything I can to the point where I can't repair no more. Fight the good fight.
Yeah. I've got an example with a washing machine that I still have. It's 9, nearly 10 years old. It would have been only 3 years old after the first, whatever they call it, like fatal fault it had. So it started getting noisy and noisier and noisier and noisier. And it's one of those things that's so gradual you don't realise that it's happening until you think, oh, that's noisy all of a sudden, and then it just stopped working. Something went, and it's the motor that drives the drum was on these rubber grommets, and the manufacturer, which is Samsung in this case, say that you should change these every 2 years. You wouldn't know that. You wouldn't know that you have to change these every 2 years. That's what they say. Oh, you should change them every 2 years. So, and because I hadn't changed them, they'd worn out, and they're meant to stop vibration, and they'd worn, and because they'd worn, they'd then started, that vibration had then started damaging the mount that they were on, which was a molded bit of plastic, which was attached to the main drum, which holds all the water in place. And 2 of those pegs that it sits on had snapped off, which meant I had to buy a whole new drum, which you would think is new washing machine territory. I wasn't having that. I was like, no, I will not be a victim of this planned obsolescence, Samsung. This washing machine it's not gonna happen. So I did buy, you can buy the drums come in 2 halves. I bought that half. I completely stripped the washing machine apart. It was nothing less than a frame by the time I was sort of going through it. Put a new half of the drum on with these new pegs. I think actually before then I tried putting a nut and bolt through it, and it worked for a bit, and then eventually it'd gone. So then when I put it back on, I realised that there was a little bit of play anyway in these rubber bushes. So I put some insulation tape around to really pack it out so it wouldn't move. And since then, because I've modified the manufacturer, the distance so that it's tight.
You've added a bit of plastic, added a bit of dampening. This is nothing that couldn't have been designed into the original part that was there.
No, I literally added a millimetre or 2 onto that mount. Set myself a reminder to check in the diary a year or 2 later, and I bought a new set of bushes to rubber grommets to change them. Went to change them, and they were still perfectly intact. So because I'd added that tape, they'd never worn again, and it's been going for another however many years since then, and it's been fine. So you don't need to change them every 2 years.
Yeah.
If they'd have made it properly, it wouldn't have happened. After that, the circuit board went, and I found a little repair shop on eBay that are in like the northest part of Scotland. On Google Maps, it looks like it's just a hut in the middle of nowhere. You send them your repair board, and they fight the board, and then they manage to repair it, which is very difficult because it's encased in resin. They drill in from the back. They do all this like crazy stuff to fix them, which is incredible. Send it back, and it went. And then another chip went. I've done that again. It's still going now. Hopefully it's at steady state, and it's all the things that are designed to fail have failed, and I'm over the hump, and this thing's going to last me until years and years into the future.
Like Frankenstein's monster, the washing machine version.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I mean, that's the problem. How are we going to solve it, Matt? It's not one that we can design out very easily from being a consumer.
I think it's really difficult because on your own you feel like you're going up against, these are huge brands. These are some of the biggest technology brands in the world, Apple and Samsung, and you'd think they'd have the resources to do the testing to understand why these things are happening. So you can't argue that it's ignorance or naivety. They have to know what they're doing, and legislation is being passed, the right to repair, all of these things. But instead of working with it, they go and greenwash by releasing an ad saying how sustainable they are. This is Apple. And then they weasel new ways to get around the right to repair. So this phone encoding, the screen that only works with the right device, is after right to repair has been established. And so they're always going to be looking for ways to maximize profit. And I don't know how you get around that at consumer level. I think it has to be at government level. But they're not informed enough at government level to understand the things that they're going to do to get around it.
Well, you can make sure that you don't buy those brands. So there is a phone called Fairphone, which is made to be repairable. So everything is, you can unscrew it yourself. You can buy the individual components yourself, and it's essentially meant to last forever. But that's the thing. That's the types of brands that you're not aware of unless you're looking for it. I think that's the type of brand we say we want to be. We want people to be able to repair whatever it is that we make. We want them to last a chunk of a lifetime rather than just being something that lasts a couple of years. And that seems to be the theme, isn't it? That things just last a couple of years, and it's fine. It's lasted 2 years when really it should be like, well, that's awful. It's only lasted 2 years.
I think there's a few products. There's a few. I think, the thing is, if you've got something that's broken and you think, oh, I'm gonna have to get rid of it, just have a go at fixing it. Like, I know it's really scary, especially with something like a washing machine that's very technical, and if I do it wrong, then there's gonna be water on the floor or whatever. Like, if you unplug it from the mains, if it's electrical, like, I'm not endorsing that anyone does anything dangerous, but if you're just a little bit brave and you have a screwdriver, you'd be amazed at the things that you can try and fix. I am not an electrical engineer. And I have fixed electrical things. I put new batteries in a Hoover that the batteries had died in. And I watched a few YouTube videos on it. And people explain how to do things safely. And I think it's just really about shifting this mindset that, oh, it's broken, I'll get a new one. It's like, no, it's broken. So you just need to do something to fix it. I think we have a responsibility to change this mindset and to buy things that encourage us to fix them, and to actually be prepared to, pull our finger out and try and fix them ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing will last forever. The lifespan of a product is only as good as its weakest component. So if it's closed and it's a button on your jeans, if that button wasn't put on very well, then that's dictating the lifespan of it if you're not going to repair it. So
yeah.
Some things will wear out, but if it's something that you can repair, then you're likely going to relife your whatever it is, your product, and get many more years out of it.
Yeah. So I think we might even be able to introduce a new segment at this point.
Ooh.
I think we should do a cash update. So last week we had less than £5, or is it £5 exactly, in our account. It was pretty scary because we had some expenses that we knew were coming up.
Yeah.
And we've decided we've gone around our various accounts where we've been selling services and products, and we have cashed in.
Oh yeah.
So we started by both putting in an equal amount. I don't know do we want to share? Do we disclose the amount that we've put in?
I think we should share everything so that anyone following knows what we're doing. There's nothing to hide.
So we both put in £100.
100 big ones of our hard-earned money straight into this business.
Yeah. And we burnt through that like there was no tomorrow. No, we managed to keep that going for a bit, but we did get to a point where we had too little in the account and we needed to buy some stuff. And so we both put another £20 in because we're so tight. And total to date, for those that can't do mental maths, that is £240 that have gone into the business. And the account went down to less than £5 last week. And then we cashed in. And we now have £140.
Oh, yeah. We are not broken even yet, but we're getting there. Excluding, paying ourselves a wage.
Yeah. Yeah, excluding all the time and effort and other things that have gone into this.
Yeah, that's free, right? So yeah, it's bank balance is looking a little bit healthier, and we can breathe it, which means we can spend things like website hosting fees and stuff like that, which is you just can't avoid.
Should we wrap it up?
I think we should. That's a nice point to end. Otherwise, we're going to go way over time budget. So thank you once again, everyone, for listening. Please
thank you.
Send us your problems if you'd like us to talk through them. If you are enjoying this podcast, we'd like to know what parts you enjoy. Again, it's part of that testing and feedback. We think we are putting the right segments into this, which people enjoy listening to. But if there's something you don't enjoy, then let us know. If there's something you do enjoy, let us know, because we can do more of that. We want this to be as informative, educational, enjoyable for everyone listening. So we want the feedback. I think we put a poll up last week as well, didn't we?
Yeah, I don't think we had any takers.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll try again.
Yeah.
A good way, if you do want to help us, a good way to do that is to actually just share links to our podcast, links to our socials, even if it's just a shared link on WhatsApp to one of your friends. If they then click it, then the social accounts know that that's where it's come from, a WhatsApp share. Sharing is caring. Sharing actually helps make the brand grow. So it's really important to do that. That is actually at the moment one of the best ways that you can help us without doing much effort at all. It doesn't cost you anything. But that's everyone says, like, share, subscribe, and that's the reason why sharing actually helps promote what we're doing.
Yeah. Well, great call to action. Let's bring it to a close.
Invention Junkies out.
See ya.